Hi there. Welcome to live stream Yoga with Louise, tips and cues to keep you safe and strong on the mat. Today's yoga practice targets the soft, doughy hot spots on our bodies. As always, I'd like you to play where you're comfortable, modify your movements if you need to, and feel comfortable to either pause the stream or to ease your way into child pose at any time should you need to. You ready? Let's hit the mat. We're going to set up for today's class standing towards the top end of the mat with enough room to step back. If your knees are feeling niggly today, I'd like you to just find a comfortable samasthiti with your feet stacking in parallel underneath your hips. If your knees are feeling good today, I'd like you to find a narrow mountain pose, Tadasana, by heel toeing your feet in and sandwiching together your big toes and your ankles. Stand up as tall as you can, trying to get a sense of length in the body. Float your hands to active prayer in front of your heart by pushing into both palms. Try to find a sense of length through the body. Start squeezing the inner thighs together, tuck the tailbone under, and start to lengthen through the lower abdominal area. Increase that lengthening line by piercing the ceiling with your prayer hands. As you stretch overhead, I'd like you to get a sense of length through the body, almost as if somebody had taken saran wrap and had wrapped you from ankle to head. I want you to reach as tall as you can and try to stretch. Then take a big breath in, and on an active exhale, you're going to sit back into a chair, bumping the weight back into your bum and your heels and floating the hands down to prayer in front of your heart. Then take a little side to side twist, maybe twisting to the left, tapping opposite elbow to knee. Come back to the center line, keeping your chair, and take your twist softly to the other side. Float back to the center line, drop your hands to the mat, and softly begin bending and extending through the legs, trying to stretch and wake up the back chain of your legs. If you need to, you can just place your hands softly on your shins or the thighs if you can't reach the floor. Then take a big step back with your left leg, coming into a soft lunge line. You're going to place your left hand underneath your left shoulder, and you're just going to open up into a little twist on the right, tapping your hand to the floor and then twisting softly into a T-frame. And you're going to use the movement dynamically to wake up and stretch through the body. Then come back to the center line, extend both legs as best you can, and just gently rock the weight back and forth. Maybe peeling your front toes off the mat as you heel out on that foot, and then trying to anchor through the front foot and coming onto the toes of the back foot. Just use the movement dynamically to begin stretching and lengthening through the body, keeping your belly button softly pulled in to center. From here, you're going to find your way into a plank line. Bend the knees as much as you need to step back into a strong plank. Body line nice and parallel to the floor. You're going to give me a few soft hip dips from here. Dipping one hip bone at a time softly towards the floor and starting to lengthen through the trunk. Then still your plank line. Use the knees if you need to support your frame as you chaturanga down, bending through the elbows, hugging them in towards the rib cage, coming down as slowly as you can. Find your way onto the belly and then softly drag your weight forward, coming into a cobra, pushing softly off your palms. Maybe your bottom rib is connected. If you'd like to work a little bit more, you're going to push up into an up dog so that you're resting on the palms and the bridges of your feet. Then almost knife edge your feet as you look over one shoulder, and you're going to repeat that action side to side, starting to lengthen and stretch through your waist and the legs. Keep your belly button pulled into center. Keep yourself nice and strong. You're going to pike into a down dog position from here, piking your bum up nice and high to the ceiling. Take a little stretch into the front and the back chain of your body. Then kick up the right leg behind you into a three-legged dog. Pause, looking for length, trying to keep yourself level through the shoulders and the hips on both sides. Then you're going to play with this three-legged dog and a knee-up plank. Come into a plank line and draw your right knee in towards your nose, and then start moving dynamically between the three-legged dog and the knee-up plank. Inhaling as you kick up the leg behind you, and then exhaling as you think knee to nose. You're going to use your knee to nose to swing the right leg up to the inside of the right hand. If the leg gets stuck on the mat, just softly corral it forward. Make sure you've got knee over ankle. We're going to find our way into a warrior two line from here. Drop the back leg to 90. Pivot slightly through the trunk and start windmilling your arms open, coming into a soft T frame with your arms reaching long and lengthened for the wall in front of you and the wall behind you. Try not to lean all your weight forward. Have the weight coming down evenly through the pelvis towards the floor. We're going to use this warrior two line and we're going to have a little bit of fun with it. Think of playing helicopter arms. You're going to pivot on the back leg, give me a half a rotation, and then come back to your start position. Do that a few times, trying to find that pivot and that swivel on the back foot. Keep reaching long and lengthened through your arms. We'll do that one more time. Ease your way back into your warrior two line and then straighten up both legs. Either keeping the back foot at 90 or maybe angling in the back foot slightly so that you can play with a little triangle line. Pretend somebody's pulling your front arm forward. You're going to pop out the back hip and you're going to hinge forward and come into a soft triangle line, just softly touching your shin on the lead leg and trying to lengthen through the top arm as best you can. Try not to lean aggressively into your shin. Try to stretch up towards the ceiling as best you can through the arm that's floating overhead. Give me at least 2 or 3 more breaths here. And then reverse that line. Take the top arm, drop it to your back leg, and reach up towards the ceiling with the other arm. Reaching long and lengthened, pretend somebody's pulling that arm, try to come out through the shoulder joint. Then bend the lead leg, windmill your arms down, and find your way into a plank line, nice and strong through the body. You're going to give me that little hip dip, side to side, strong through the shoulders, strong through the core. You're going to work your chaturanga. If you need the knees, use them, bend through the elbows, but hug the elbows in towards the center line as you come down into the belly. Relax onto the belly. Maybe lengthening through the spine, maybe keeping your hips and your legs connected to the mat in a soft cobra line, or push up onto your palms and the tops of your feet and find your up dog. Then knife edge the feet slightly as you peek over one shoulder at a time, almost softly beginning to rotate through the trunk, really targeting those soft areas. Come back to the midline. Find a down dog frame, piking your bum up to the ceiling, almost making a little triangle frame with your body. And we're going to take it into a little oblique tap. You're going to reach opposite hand to ankle, and you're going to give me a soft little tap, side to side. Trying to drop down as much as you can through the ankles. Let's do one more tap to each side. Find your down dog frame. Take a little stretch here. You're going to either step up one leg at a time, or you're going to come up onto your fingertips, giving me little spider fingers. Bend through the knees. Almost make your bum heavy and take a little hop forward, coming back into your original stance on the mat. Either a narrow mountain or a comfortable samasthiti. You're going to peel your hands to heart center as you sit back into that chair. Then you're going to twist side to side, tapping opposite elbow to knee. Stand up nice and tall. Float your hands up towards the ceiling. Pierce the ceiling and look for that saran wrap from your ankles all the way to the top of your fingertips. Pretend you've been saran wrapped, shrink wrapped, and you're looking for as much length in the body as you can comfortably find. Almost peel your way out through the hips. Then take a big breath in to prepare. From Hastasana, you're going to Bend through the knees, bump the weight back into your bum and your heels and find your chair, Utkatasana. Make sure that your knees are not tracking over your toes. We're going to take it into that little side chair. You're going to twist side to side, tapping opposite elbow to knee, trying to keep your bum nice and low. Come back towards the center, drop your hands to the mat or the top of your shins, and softly begin dynamically bending and extending through the legs. If you can't reach the floor, maybe place the hands on your shin bones or the top of your thighs as you bend and extend. Then lunge step the right leg back and take a dynamic twist to the left. Reconnect the left hand to the mat and play with that lunging twist dynamically, making sure that your right hand is anchored underneath your right shoulder to give you stability on the mat. Keep pulling the weight back into the heel of the back leg. Ease your way back to center and find a little pyramid line by trying to extend both legs, maybe peel the front toes off the mat. So you're pushing off the heel, toes are looking up to the sky, and then you're going to rock the weight forward, anchoring the whole foot and coming onto the big toe and maybe the second toe on the back leg. And then use that movement dynamically, trying to give me a nice wide pyramid. Parsvottanasana. Give me 2 more little rocks, then we'll find our way from here into a plank line. Soften the front knee and step back into a strong plank. Find your plank first. Make sure you're not collapsing through the shoulders. When you're ready, begin with that soft little side to side hip dip. Just dropping one hip softly towards the floor, starting to get a nice bit of toning through the trunk. Come to stillness in your plank line or drop to the knees if you need to. We're going to chaturanga down slowly and with control. Bend through the elbows. Bring your body down to hover just off the floor. Then release to the belly. Start peeling up through the ribs. Keep your elbows tucked in, finding a baby cobra and staying there, or pushing off your palms and the bridges of your feet, finding an up dog, and then starting to peek over one shoulder at a time as you almost softly knife edge the feet. So you're rolling over on the tops of your feet as you look over one shoulder at a time. Ease your way back to center. Find your way from here into a down dog frame, tucking the toes under and taking a little stretcher. Looking for as much length as you can up the front and the back chain of the body as you find Adho Mukha Svanasana, 3-legged dog. We're going to kick up that left leg behind us. Try to keep nice and stacked through the shoulders and the hips, and then think knee up plank and start moving dynamically between your 3-legged kick up and your knee up plank. Inhaling as you kick back, exhaling as you think knee to nose. You're going to use that knee to nose action to step up on the left, stepping to the inside of the left hand, drop the back leg to 90, windmill your frame open and find Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Make sure you're not dropping the back arm. Give me a nice lengthening T-frame through the arms. Watch that you're not leaning everything forward so your weight distribution is equal between the front and the back leg. Then start playing with that Warrior 2 frame by giving me half a helicopter rotation, pivoting on the back leg and then coming back to your start position. Maybe 3 or 4 little light half spins. Keep reaching as long and lengthened as you can through the arms and keep pulling back into the heel of the back leg. Come back to your Warrior 2 frame. Straighten up both legs, maybe angling in the back leg slightly at 45 or keep it at 90 if you prefer. Reach forward, somebody's pulling you forward. Drop down to softly tap your fingertips to the shin bone and give me a modified triangle, Trikonasana, reaching as long and as lengthened as you can through the top arm. Just keep lightly tapping the shin, try not to lean into it. Then reverse your triangle frame. Take your top hand and drop it to the back leg, and then float the other arm up and just reach for the ceiling, giving me a modified peaceful warrior that you've married with your triangle frame. Find your way back into your warrior two frame. Windmill the arms down and ease your way back into your plank line. Look for strength through the belly. Try and give me as parallel a line to the mat as you can. When you're ready, begin that little hip dip side to side. Chaturanga down. Use the knees if you need to. Don't be afraid to drop them to the mat. Bend through the elbows. Bring it down with control. Whether you're using the knees or not, relax onto the belly. And then think of rolling a little marble away with your nose. Peel up into a gentle cobra line, keeping those elbows tucked in. Or push onto the palms and the bridges of your feet and find an up dog. And then slowly begin that over shoulder peak. As you think of rolling on the top of your toes, almost knife edging through the feet. Find your way back to your down dog frame. Take a little stretch here. As you find your down dog, really try to drop down through the back of your heels so that you're stretching the entire back chain of the legs. We're going to play with that little oblique twist. So you're going to reach opposite hand to ankle, maybe holding or just tapping. Give me at least 3 little side to side reach throughs. Moving as fast or as slow as you're comfortable. Making the practice your own. Find your way back to your down dog frame. Think of softening through the knees. Push the weight back into your bum. Come onto the tips of your fingers so you're pushing off with all 10 digits. You're going to step or hop into a chair pose from here. Trying to bring the 2 feet together along the midline of the body. Drop the feet to the mat. Sit back into your chair frame. Float your hands to prayer mudra in front of your heart. And then give me a little side to side tap. Come back along the midline. Lengthen towards the sky. Think of that saran wrap wrapping you from ankle to fingertips. Look for length. Ground through the feet. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Pull up softly from the pelvic floor all the way towards your belly button. Then bring your hands down in active prayer and pause here for a moment. Actively push into the hands, float the elbows wide. We're going to change our arm line. You're going to open up the arms into a little cactus frame. So thinking of bending at the elbows more or less in line with your shoulders. Let's float the left arm out in front. We're going to overlay the right arm into the left and try to tap the 2 hands together as if we wanted to forge a prayer hand from here. Or you can just hold on to your thumb with your index finger and your thumb with the other hand. So just find an eagle grasp, the Garudasana grasp that works for you. We're going to use these eagle hands to come into a warrior 3 position on the right. Think of softly hinging forward from the waistline, making your elbow points heavy to the mat. As you hit about a tabletop line, you're going to drag the right foot behind you. You're going to float the leg up, and you're going to try to come into a soft little tabletop line, trying to keep your weight nice and even through the shoulders and the hips. Pause here in your modified warrior 3. Then unbind the hands. Drop your left hand to the floor and open up into a little half moon float. Think soft T-frame through the arms. If your hands don't reach the floor, maybe place a block underneath your hand as you come to Ardha Chandrasana. If this feels good and the balance and the control is there, you can maybe bend the back leg, run your hand down. Don't look for the foot, just reach for it. Once you've found it, softly kick the foot into your hand and take a little sugar cane stretch here. Then drop both hands to the mat, kick up the leg behind you, finding a little standing split. You're going to step back from here into a triangle line. Step back, angle the back foot in slightly at 45. and peel up into a triangle with your lead hand on the inside of the lead foot. You could use a block on the inside of the leg, or you can place your hand once again on the shin bone if your hand can't reach the floor. If you can comfortably connect to the floor, maybe give me a flat palm, but try to lengthen through the top arm as best you can as you hold that triangle line, Trikonasana, thinking of lengthening through the body as best you can. Keep looking for length within your frame. Then soften the lead leg, pivot through the trunk, place both hands either side the lead leg, and step back into a strong plank hold. Trying to hold for a few solid breaths here, keeping your body line as parallel to the floor as you can. Either staying here or morphing into a side plank hold. You could either knife edge both feet to the right, floating the left arm up to the ceiling, or if you're feeling strong, you can stack one leg on top of the other. Try not to dip your hips. Hold the hips up nice and high. If you do need to support your frame, you could bend the bottom leg, extend the top, and give me more of a gate line on the mat. So find your side plank variant that's working for you. Try to keep the hips up nice and high and hold. Try to form a long T-frame from your top arm towards your bottom arm. Ease your way back into your plank, Kumbhakasana. Drop to the knees. We'll work a modified caterpillar to come down onto the belly, and we'll take it into a locust line. Bend through the elbows, but hug them in softly towards your ribs. As your chin and your chest taps the floor, drag the weight forward. Float the arms alongside the body, back of the hands connected to the mat, palms looking up, and just relax your forehead and your nose to the mat and take 2 or 3 deep recovery breaths here. We're going to come into a full locust expression from here, Salambasana. Pretend you've got a little marble underneath your nose. Start rolling the marble away from you, and at the same time, give me a chest, leg, and arm lift and come into a soft bow-like frame, reaching long through your fingertips, your toes, and the crown of your head. If holding this bow frame through the back is too much for you, you can drop closer to the mat and give me more of a Superman parallel line with your nose looking off the front of the mat. So pick your poison and hold. If this feels good and you'd like to work the back a little bit more, you can bend one leg at a time, reaching for the ankle bone. Think of floating the soles of your feet up to the ceiling and give me even more of a bow frame through the back. Maybe gently rocking between your hip bones and your belly button, or holding the frame steady if you prefer. Bow Dhanurasana. Then float your way back into your locust frame and give me a modified 100, vigorously beating the arms up and down for a count of 5, and then exhaling for a count of 5. So the breathing pattern is inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Last one. As you complete the last one, relax your whole body down to the mat. As you peel back down, maybe rest on the side of one cheek and just bleed all of the muscle tension into the mat. Take a deep recovery breath or 2. Maybe closing the eyes, taking your focus inward for a second. Then find your way back onto the forehead. Tuck your toes under, keeping that soft parallel line through the legs. Bend the elbows and place your palms alongside the bosom with the elbows tucked in towards the center line. You're going to push back through full point kneeling, coming into a modified child and thinking of trying to make your bum heavy towards your heels and just taking a little extended stretch here. Almost pushing off the palms of your hands. Pretend somebody's standing behind you and they're pulling your hip line back, and you're trying as best you can to tap your bum to your heels, but you're not quite getting there. Look off the front of your mat, starting to stretch into the shoulder blade area. Find your way through 4-point kneeling. Come onto the tips of your fingers. Hover the knees just off the floor and take a little bunny hop forward, landing in a narrow mountain if you can. So big toes and ankles sandwiched together. Sit the weight down into your heels and then ragdoll style. Just peel up along the center line, leading with the back of your ribs, restacking and realigning. Think knees over ankles, hips over knees, shoulders over hips, head center aligned. Look for that sense of the inner thighs drawing in, the pelvic floor pulling up. Float into your little cactus frame with your bent elbows, palms looking in the same orientation as your face. You're going to float the right arm in. Try to overlay the left arm into the right and give me a little eagle bind. Maybe the two palms just softly touching, or maybe you're holding onto your thumb with the index finger and the thumb of the opposite hand. When you're ready, you're going to keep this eagle bind, your little Garudasana bind through the hands, and you're going to marry it with a warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. Start hinging forward. As you hit about the tabletop line, I'd like you to softly begin extending the left leg behind you. Just keep a soft toe line today, but try to keep even through the shoulder girdle and the pelvic girdle, so you're not popping and rotating through the hips. Unbind your hands, drop the right hand to the floor, and see if you can stack the left hip on top of the right and open up into a little half moon. Think of just forging a soft T-like frame and keep your gaze where you're comfortable, either looking down towards the floor or up to the ceiling. Up to the ceiling will be more challenging. If that feels good, maybe bend your floating back leg, brush your hand down the chain of your leg, reaching for the top of your foot. Once you've found it, think of just softly kicking the foot into your hand, almost trying to tuck your tailbone under and getting an awesome stretch into your hip flexor and your quad. We're going to find a triangle line from here. Take a big step back, angling the back foot in slightly to 45. Float your lead arm to the inside of the lead leg and open up into a soft T-frame. You've got a soft little triangle frame between the legs. If your hands don't reach the floor, you could place a block on the inside of your leg. So it would look something like this, playing with the dimensions of the block and finding a comfortable lean-in position that could possibly work for you. If you can comfortably reach the mat, maybe placing the whole palm on the floor. Keep reaching long and lengthened through that top arm. Look for length. From your triangle frame, you're going to find your way into a strong plank. Maybe bend the lead leg, windmill your arms down, and step back into a strong plank. Check that your body line is as parallel to the mat as you can manage, so you're not collapsing through the frame and you're not piking your bum up to the ceiling. You're thinking, nice parallel line. We're going to find that side plank on the left, so my back will be towards you. You're going to knife edge to the left, either knife edging your feet, stacking one in front of the other, or finding a double stack, or bending the bottom leg and extending the top. Wherever you decide to play, I want you to focus on lengthening through that top arm as best you can. Try not to drop your hips. Think of piking your hips softly up towards the ceiling. Really use your trunk. Hold your side plank. Vasana. We're going to find our way back into a full plank, Kumbhakasana, and we're going to work that modified chaturanga to come down. Soften through the knees. You're going to bend your elbows, but you're going to keep them tracking in as you softly find your way down onto the belly. Think of hovering off the floor for a second or two, and then just release to the belly. And as you find your way onto the belly, I'd like you to just brush the arms alongside the body, back of the hands connected to the mat, palms looking up with your forehead softly connected to the mat. Take a moment to just gather yourself and think of how you're going to get into your locust line. Pretend you have a little marble underneath your nose. Start rolling the marble away from you. At the same time, you're going to execute a simultaneous chest, leg, and arm lift, coming into a nice U or a bow frame through the back, holding, reaching long through your crown, your fingertips, and your toes. If this feels good, you're going to morph into bow, Dhanurasana, by bending your legs one at a time. Try not to V your knees out as you do so. And then think of floating the soles of your feet up to the ceiling, finding more of an acute bow frame through the back, holding steady, or maybe you'd like to rock gently back and forth between your belly button and your hip bones. Find your way back into your locust frame, hold steady, or play with your dynamic 100 by hinging from the shoulder joint so the arms stay long lengthened. Inhale for a long count of 5, exhale for a long count of 5. Don't syncopate the breath, so don't take short, choppy breaths. Your breathing pattern is inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do one more. Then you're going to float everything, whisper softly back down to the mat. As you reconnect, you're going to flop onto your opposite cheek this time. Melt your whole body into the mat and just take a few soft, relaxed recovery breaths here, trying to keep your inhalation and your exhalation exclusively through the nose if you can manage it. Then reconnect your forehead to the mat. Tuck your toes under. Bend the elbows and place your hands palms down alongside your bosom with your elbows tucked into the center line. We're going to bring it into that modified child pushback. Think of coming through 4-point kneeling. Bump your bum back towards your heels and take an extended stretch here, trying to tap your nose or your forehead to the mat, preferably resting your weight on your third eye, your Anya chakra, that little spot between the two eyebrows. Take an extended stretch here, trying to breathe as deeply as you can into the back of your ribs. Take a few more soft breaths here, and then we're going to change our orientation on the mat slightly, and we'll come to a seated frame from here. Think of gently coming through 4-point kneeling. Sit down onto your right bum, extend the right leg out in front of you, and keep the left leg bent, preferably tucking the heel of the left foot as close to your bum as you can. And open up the legs into as close to an L frame as you can. If this feels really uncomfortable for you, you can bring the knees in closer and give me more of a soft V frame between the two legs. So pick the gate line, Paringasana, that works for you. Sit up nice and tall and try to get a sense of your bum bones being equally weighted. So try not to lean aggressively and tip your torso. Think of that long saran wrap torso that we played with in the beginning of the class. Try to keep that length through the trunk. Give me an active foot line on the right. You're going to sit up nice and tall, and you're going to try to drop the right elbow to the inside of the right knee and just softly push off your forearm. If the floor is not your friend, you could reach for a yoga block or maybe a scatter cushion and just put it on the inseam of your leg, finding a comfortable lean-in position that works for you. You could also use a little lean on your top thigh or shin if you prefer. Drop down. Push with the back of your elbow against the inside of the knee and see if you can extend the left arm up towards the ceiling. If this feels good and you like to take the stretch a little bit further, see if you can float the top arm overhead, bring it as close towards your ear as you can, and see if you can maybe reach for the toes. Maybe you're able to wrap around your pinky toe. You could use a belt or a strap to loop around the foot and then hold on to that strap if you like. If this feels good, and you'd like to get even more toning work through the trunk, you're going to float your bottom arm in and you're going to reach opposite hand to hip. Keep softly pushing off your elbow point and almost think of peeking around your top elbow and looking up softly towards the ceiling. So the ceiling is your drishti or your focal point. Stay here for a few more breaths. In Paringasana, Baddha Paringasana, bound gate. And then we'll bring it into a wide seated straddle from here, Upavista Konasana. Start peeling back up to your start position. Unwrap both legs and open up into the widest V seat that you can manage. Try not to tip all of your weight back and almost quasimodo and collapse on your frame. I'd like you to tilt the pelvis to the 6 o'clock position so that you're sitting up nice and forward and your weight is almost traveling forward. Sit up as tall as you can and then try to repeat the stretch that you did on the right side of the body. So take the right elbow using block or no block and place it on the inseam of your right leg. Actively push with your elbow against the knee and resist, and then float the left arm up to the ceiling. Try to keep both feet active, so brace actively into the feet. If this feels good, start floating that top arm overhead. Bring it as close to your ear as you can, and maybe reach for the opposite toes. Maybe bracing around your pinky toe. Maybe you're holding onto the big toe. Find a grip line that works for you. Peep underneath the arm. Look up towards the ceiling, and then maybe float the bottom arm in and reach for the opposite hip, softly pushing off your elbow point and trying to rotate softly through the trunk as you peek up to the ceiling. Peel softly back up along the center line and tuck into easy sit, leading with the right leg in front of the left. Just a nice high seat. If you need to, you could even prop up your seat by putting a block underneath your bum. Sit up as tall as you can, just first looking for that length in the spine and making sure that your bum bones are equally weighted. Then drop your right fingertips or your right palm to the mat. Start making the whole elbow, the shoulder heavy to the floor. You don't need to anchor the elbow on the floor, just make it heavy. Drop down and take an offside stretch, arcing and framing with the other arm. Inhale to gently come back to center and repeat that stretch on the other side. Think of first just connecting your fingertips to the mat, maybe sliding the arm out as you start making the elbow and the shoulder heavy to the floor. And you don't need to tap or touch the floor with your elbow, just make it heavy. Then arc and frame on the other side. Think of this beautiful stretch you're getting through the rib cage. Give me the longest line you can manage. And then gently peel back towards the center line. Take a minute to regroup, lengthening as much as you can through the body. You're going to open up into that gate line on the left. Take your front leg, swing it behind you, trying to tuck the foot in as close to your bum as you can, and then begin extending the left leg, almost aiming your foot for the corner of your mat. Try to find that L frame, or maybe you're more comfortable with more of a V frame. Find the stance that works for you. Take a big breath in. On an exhale, you're going to drop the elbow to the inseam of the leg if you're using your block. Just a position just in front of the knee is usually a comfortable position. Or you could rest that hand on the top of your thigh. Actively push with the elbow on the inseam of the leg. Resist, get that resistance going, and then float the right arm up to the ceiling and pretend that you're a marionette. Somebody's pulling those fingertips up towards the ceiling. Reach as long and as lengthened as you can. If that feels good, float overhead, reach for your toes, maybe holding onto your pinky toe or your big toe, peek around the arm, and then maybe float the bottom arm in to reach for your opposite hip bone, just softly pushing off your elbow point and trying to get as much soft rotation through the trunk as you can, gently peeking up to the ceiling. So the ceiling is your drishti, your focal point. Hold Baddha Paringasana, bound gate. Take a couple of deep breaths here. When you're ready, you're going to peel up, retrace your path back to your original seat, and then open up both legs, coming into your wide seated straddle, Upavista Konasana. Just get that sense of being grounded and your body weight being even on both sides. Keep both feet active, so no soft, relaxed feet. Keep bracing softly, almost thinking of sending energy out through the heels of your feet. Then drop your elbow to the inseam of the left leg. Push actively with the hand against the inseam and resist. Get that resistance going. And once you've got it going, you're going to float the right hand overhead. You're going to find that marionette string and you're going to reach as long and as lengthened as you can up towards the ceiling. If that feels good, start bringing that top arm in closer towards your ear. Keep looking for length through the arm. So somebody's tugging on those fingertips as you come overhead. Reach for your toes if you can. Think of peeking around your armpit towards the ceiling. And then if that feels good, float the bottom arm in and reach for your opposite hip bone, just softly pushing off the mat with your elbow point. Keep rotating to gently peek up towards the ceiling. Find your way from here gently back to center. And find easy sit, Sukhasana, bending in one knee at a time. Bring the right leg in first and lead with the left leg in front of the right this time. Find that length through the bum bones. Sit up nice and tall. And when you're ready, you're going to connect the left fingertips to the mat. Think of sliding the hands softly away from you as you make your elbow point and the shoulder heavy. Almost think of using your left ear to listen to the mat. And then arc and frame on the other side. Try to open up as much through the rib cage as you can and hold the stretch, reaching long and lengthened through your fingertips. Inhale to come back to center. And on an active exhale, you're going to repeat that side stretch to side two. Start sliding the right fingertips away from you. Make the elbow points and the shoulder heavy. Think of listening to the mat with your right ear. Arc and frame on the left. Try to grow as much as you can through the rib cage. Ease your way softly back to the center line, maybe just coming into one last butterfly stretch, bringing the soles of your feet together, either wrapping around your ankles or maybe overlaying your hands over the feet, tucking the feet in towards your body line, making the knees heavy and dropping the shoulders away from your ears. Think of that saran-wrapped trunk. Pretend that you're a marionette and somebody's pulling your crown up towards the ceiling. So you've got energy traveling up towards the ceiling through your crown, and at the same time, you've got energy traveling down through your knees and your pelvis. Look for that opposition in your stretch as you hold Baddha Konasana, butterfly. Then either staying in butterfly or coming to easy sit or coming into a high kneeling frame, maybe with the shoulders, the hips and the knees stacked in one line. Bring your hands to prayer in front of your heart and end off today's practice with a little playful circle. Take a big breath in, circling your hands overhead, palms looking in the same orientation as your face. And on an active exhale, bring the hands down, pushing into both palms, maybe giving me a little shooting breath as you come down the center line. Do that 2 or 3 more times, finding a gentle rolling rhythm of your own. Inhale as you circle around, exhale actively as you come down in prayer, pushing with enough gentle force between the 2 palms so that you can feel the arms, chest, back, upper shoulders are all connected. Keep looking for that gentle squeeze on the inner thighs and that pull up from the pelvic floor. Last one. End with your hands in front of your heart. Arms are active. And end off your practice for today by just taking a soft nod of your chin towards the chest. Namaste to you all. Thank you so much for coming out and playing with me today. Do hope that you enjoyed today's class. Give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy. Remember to shoot me your comments Either use the comments box below or reach out to me on social media. And remember to make sure that your notifications for this channel are turned on. I shall see you all for Pilates on the mat tomorrow. Till then, keep it light.